Right, this is the fourth video about how I do photoshopping of my bird photos. Quick photoshopping. I can do lots in a short space of time just using these quick methods. Now I've done the resizing, the cropping and the sharpening on this photo. The next thing I do is like the lighting, the brightness, contrast, things like that. Now there's three ways you can do that. Again, don't forget, still use your copy rather than your original. Often I then use a third copy so that the sharpened layer is all sharp and saved, and I can use a new layer. Then in each step of the way I do a different layer sometimes. Now there's three ways of doing the lighting, brightness, contrast, and image adjustments. It's in this section. There's three ways I used. Now brightness and contrast, this is the basic methods, and just using the sliders, make it brighter, make it duller, make it more contrasting, less contrasting. Don't generally use that very much, that's just basic stuff, and only for just simple photos, everyday photos usually. The other main thing I use is levels, and this gives you some kind of histogram showing you the light levels on the photo. Now these are the three sliders I use, and you can move these around affecting different parts of the photo. This white one is the bright colors and the light areas. The dark one is your black colors, very dark colors, and this is your midtones. Now often I have a click on auto to see what the computer does by itself, just to have a look. I don't generally use that because I don't generally like the way it does it. I don't think that's how I want it to come out at all, but it's just sometimes that works quite well and gives you some ideas. Now to get back from there, rather than just pressing cancel, you can press Alt, and pressing Alt, this has changed to reset, and click it back rather than cancelling the whole thing. Right, now here, as you can see, it's probably quite a darkish picture, not many light areas, due to this the histogram not having any of this. So the most obvious thing to move here to start with is this across. Now you could move it right to there, and that's probably what it did look like in the field. It was a nice sunny day, but it looks a bit too bright there, especially on the eye ring there, makes it look a bit ugly. So I wouldn't usually, it's just a judgment call, and just keep moving them around. So, but I do want to make it brighter, but not too bright. I'm really looking at the really light areas like the eye ring. Once that starts getting a bit too bright, probably there it's getting a bit too bright and intense, I'll probably go back again. Okay, these are the midtones. Generally I find it's better to lighten the midtones rather than the very pale tones, because they're usually pale anyway, especially with my hopeless original photographs. So the midtones, that's usually best to lighten. Always do the blacks down a bit, that improves the contrast. Okay, so just fiddle around with these till you get it just as you like it. Could spend ages doing that, I'll just stop it there for that. Don't do the blacks too dark, it starts looking a bit silly, but just generally a little bit the blacks. I think that'll do for there. You can use this. This is if you've got a very bright photo, that cuts down the brightness of it. and alternatively, if you get a very dark photo, lightens it up a bit, but I generally leave those. Okay, so I'm quite satisfied there with the brightness. The other way you can do it, if you can't get that quite right, you can do it a bit more detailed by clicking on curves, and you can be a bit more detailed here, up and down. You can use the dropper there to find out where certain parts of your photos are on the scale. So clicking on the water, it's about here. So if you especially want the water lightened, you can grab it and move it upwards. And if you want the bird here darkened, that's about there, you can move that downwards. But that's very fiddly. I generally don't use that unless I'm really struggling with the last one. So that's my lightening and darkening or exposure done correctly, or how I want it. I'd probably spend longer on it. Next time I'll look more at the colours. So we're nearly done now. That's the end of part 4.